Dear beloved Creator, ubiquitous, without, in every atom, in everything, and within every cell of our body. This life force exists in all that is created by our Creator, never to be duplicated, only to be awed by, graced by, marveled at. We are here to acknowledge the love and the miracles of creation, to honor the gifts given to us on this plane of existence, this 3D reality with all its flaws and imperfections, and with all its beauty. We know there is evil too, and we are grateful to finally see it for what it is, a jealous and futile attempt to destroy the magnificence and perfection of your creation. When we see as much as we need to see or handle, then we know the tide has turned, and we can return our land and our undivided people to their rightful place, humankind as you intended. Then we know we can move forward with our innate intelligence and true wisdom and blind the darkness and the evil with our knowing and our light. And we are here for that. And we are gathered here for that. And for that, we are grateful. And so it is.
Can we have an agreement that law is the United States of America's and Oregon's Constitution circa 1859 with the definitions found in Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, 1856, on Oregon? That's for starters. That's to see if you've gotten the memo. I'm asked, yeah, but how are you going to reinforce it? Well, the first law of the land that everybody agrees to is the Constitution. Now, is it the Constitution for or the Constitution of, or is it our Constitution, the lawful, legitimate Constitution? No, states are a party to that Constitution. The states and all on the states are required to honor the United States of America's Constitution circa 1859 when Oregon joined the Union. That's the first law of the land. At the same time, Oregon's Constitution became the law on Oregon. We are party to Oregon's Constitution. And we are Article 1, Section 1, the social compact that is agreed to in Oregon's Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, at the very start. So that's who we are. We are the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, the social compact of Article 1, Section 1. It is not our job to enforce. It is the sheriff's job to enforce. We have 36 sheriffs that cannot agree that the United States of America's Constitution and Oregon's Constitution are the first and second law of the land on Oregon, the state, among the several states. In Congress assembled, it's the sheriff's job. The sheriff is elected by us improperly, but it still happened. It was improper and has been since November 8th, 1910, and nobody wants to admit that. You have to agree what law is. And if you can't agree what law is, there's no way to enforce anything. So, we have 36 sheriffs without a proper oath without proof of bondability, without complying with ORS 206, DSTTP, is that it? I forget the acronym. And the county recorder and the county HR. It's a standard job agreement. It's a contract. The sheriff has to do their part, and they haven't, and they won't. Apparently, we've given them plenty of opportunities, all on the staff of all of the sheriffs had access to the bulletin board in their county courthouse. Every one of them. Of the 9 that we took on personally. All the rest of them have all the legitimate notifications. But 9 of them were posted. So we have 9 sheriff's departments, jailers, patrol, and bailiffs that had access to it and should know. We have no way of knowing if they do. The only sheriff that is approached doing the proper job is Sam. And for some reason, Sam won't do the job. We're going up against Caprice and the entire Washington County system for a quiet title, for a quiet title and for probate. This wasn't what we planned for our assembly. But my wife died, and I'm in it. And I'm a member of the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. And I'm also a clerk of our court. So I'm in it all the way. It's my home. I hadn't planned on doing this, but this is where we are. So how do we enforce this? I don't know. I don't want to do it like they did in Athens, Tennessee. They went to guns. Worked. Power does come from the barrel of a gun. It works. We would prefer to do it properly. Assemble. The First Amendment. Petition of redress of grievance. First Amendment. Oregon's Constitution. Article 1, Section 1. A social compact. We did it. We did all the steps. They're all written down. There's no way to go wrong if you just read. And that's what we did. And we filed all the papers one at a time, step by step. Been at this for 8 years. It's not like we're going to quit. We have sheriffs that are not proper. That's the sheriff's fault. The sheriff has all the information. Now, when they got elected, they may not have known all the information. They may not have known about Article 7 amended. They may not have known about our grand juries and our trial juries. But they do now. Therefore, it's the sheriffs that have the responsibility to do the job. They're in charge of each county's executive system. And they're not doing the job. They've all failed. So There's several ways to remove a sheriff, and we're going to try them one at a time until our sheriffs are proper. We will remove Article 7 amended from Oregon. You cannot have an unconstitutional amendment in our Constitution. Not going to stand for it. We refuse. So the first step is we have to recognize what law is, and law is our constitutions. Then you have to realize that the words in the Constitution have to be defined, and we have the proper law dictionary, Bouvier's 6th edition, 1856. Congress realized that they needed a dictionary to define their documents, and Bouvier made it. Nothing else is proper, and it's available on Amazon. It's printed in Troutdale. The province of our Oregon Constitution Social Compact is from 1700 through generations until 1775, when they got a Navy and the Marines. And in 1776, with their declaration, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. That's what it is. Then in 1977, when their confederation, it's not federal, it's a confederation. A confederation and perpetual union was styled. That means it is a particular way to write it out. If you don't write it out properly, it's not us. Okay, so then they send them out to the states. 13 states. They all came back except Rhode Island. They went out without a preamble. The preamble is, we the people of the United States. The people of the United States live in Washington, District of Columbia. That's where the United States is, and we the people of are there. It was ratified and immediately amended by the Bill of Rights. Therefore, the first one that they sent out and came back ratified, except for Rhode Island and Providence Plantation. Rhode Island joined eventually before Vermont became our first new state, 14. So then we had a constitution for a confederation and perpetual union. And that constitution became an artifact as soon as we had the 10 amendments. Then they made 11, 12, and 13. In 1819, we had 13 amendments to the Constitution. Number 13 was titles of nobility, anti-titles of nobility. You can look all over the internet and you can find that evidence. It's there. They covered it up during Lincoln's administration. Apparently, attorneys, Lincoln was one, wrote a new 13th and claimed that the first 13th was not legitimate, but it was legitimate from 1819 until 1861. March. That's when the coup happened. So, how can there not be an Amendment 13 XIII, anti-title of nobility, and they make a new 13? They did it illegally and illegitimately. De facto. Page 416, Black's Law, 6th edition. De facto is here. We have it. It's recognized. And it is illegal and illegitimate. It's fraud upon the people. And it was conducted by attorneys. And it was honored by the military. And we had a coup. And then they had a conflagration between the states. And it stopped with an armistice signed by 2 generals. It was never a war, and the whole thing was a coup, and it's bogus, and we know it. The only state that's doing something about it legitimately, lawfully, correctly, as determined by our documents and the dictionary, that's what we have to have. We can't get it on Oregon till we have sheriffs. The Oregon Department of Corrections refuses to honor a writ of habeas corpus ad subjiciendum from a legitimate court. An Article 3, one Supreme Court claiming original jurisdiction on Oregon. We made that court. We read all the requirements and we concluded all of the obligations to make the court. We have it. June 2018, I believe. So we have a legitimate jure, provisional government on Oregon, and they all know it. There's no secret. It's not hidden. Now they have the opportunity, our sheriffs, to do the right thing. And the right thing is not difficult. It's all written down. You can't lie, cheat, and steal. And that's what they're doing. Started November 8th by a bunch of attorneys. They got it done. And it's illegal and illegitimate. We're cleaning that up now. The first thing that has to happen from here on is our sheriffs must become legitimate. If we don't have legitimate sheriffs, nothing else is going to work. Bringing in the Marines isn't going to get the job done. The sheriffs have to do it themselves. And their deputies. And the judiciary. We can't do it for them. They have to do it. Government happened, and Vermont, an independent nation, was added. After Rhode Island and Providence Plantation returned to the perpetual union, there were additions made, amendments in several states. Oregon is the 33rd. When we view our founding documents, we can't get them. We've tried with 7 secretaries of state to obtain a viewing of our statehood documents. Our statehood document is not an 1857 Constitution that was sent to Washington. That has no standing. The document that came back ratified with the United States of America's Constitution as the contract that they agreed to, and all of the other 32 several states agreed that Oregon's Constitution was legitimate. So those two documents are required to be in two places, Oregon and Washington District of Columbia, where I'm not exactly sure, and they won't tell us. Every time that document is changed, both documents have to agree. We can't change our Constitution unless the Constitution in D.C. was changed also. And that has to be agreed upon. A change in the Constitution is a change in the contract. And when you change the contract, the original contract becomes an artifact and you have a new contract. It has been amended. Now, how do you do that when you can't even get to look at the original documents that came back from D.C.? I don't know. 7 secretaries of state and 3 deputy secretaries of state have all refused. They pretend, but they do not comply. So, enforcement. Everybody wants enforcement, but they don't want to identify what to enforce. And they enforce an illegitimate amendment, Article 7 amended to our Constitution. And they continue to do that when they know this is misprision of felony. The ORS are post 1910 when the fraud happened. And they're de facto. All that needs to be corrected. The Oregon State Bar, as seen today, is unconstitutional. They take a private oath and they are de facto. Article 7 amended, FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act. They are not us. Read the 12 presumptions in law. They're on our website. Okay. Credentials are required. Statutes, as in the statutes at large, that have been made positive law. Those in the Oregon revised statutes that may conflict with an amendment, such as the first 10, are nullities, such as the need for a bar attorney from the Oregon State Bar to be the only counsel you can have in their court, illegitimate, or to get a concealed carry permit, illegitimate. You do not have the authority. You're bogus. There is no need for an opinion from anyone about constitutions. All of us got the 5 years training starting no later than the 8th grade. Isn't that right? It's an ORS. With no adherence in fact. It is an education paradox. The needed education that should be and did not happen. And we got gender education and misinformation instead. That which is and should not be, and that which should not be and is. That's what we have on Oregon. The legislature, the executive, the judiciary, all the sheriffs know, they've all acquiesced to it. They are illegitimate and illegal. And they know it. And they don't self-correct. So tell me about, how do you enforce something? The superintendent of the Oregon State Police was appointed by Tina Kotek. Tina Kotek was found guilty of breaking her oath and having no honor when they had session in the State House, and we were locked out. January 21st, 2021. Illegal and illegitimate. And 89 senators and reps broke their oath the same day. The only one that didn't was Mike Neerman. He opened the door and let us in. And then they threw him out of the legislature. The only man that did not break his oath was thrown out of the legislature by his peers, I think because they were embarrassed. They couldn't look him in the eye. They lie, cheat, and steal and couldn't stand a man that wouldn't.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, to shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.